Well, happy Tuesday. We love Tuesdays. It's always a happy day on
Yes.
Tuesdays. Yes. I'm Dr. Laurie Davis, and you're watching the Dr. Laurie Davis Show, streaming live right now on E360 TV, YouTube. Just search Laurie Davis Show host, and also on our Facebook page, Self Worth the Missing Link Superstars. That's my little thing I do with my superstars. And of course, on Tuesdays, my co host, Ramin Modiri. And we're always going to talk about something to do with money. I love it. And Ramin, welcome to the show today as our co host.
Oh, thank you so much. It is Tuesday. Happy Tuesday to everyone. Yeah, it is. I've said it before, my favorite day. So glad to be here. Appreciate it.
Great. Well, we're just full of turkey up here in Canada because we just had
Okay.
our Thanksgiving, our annual Thanksgiving, but also now on October the 9th, to honor and respect our Indigenous communities, the government passed a law where it is National Indigenous Peoples Day. So it coincides and correlates with our Thanksgiving weekend. So it's October 9th. This year it correlated with that, but it's October 9th every year. So we honored that as well. And today, well, I'm full of turkey. I cooked a turkey dinner for some friends yesterday, and we had a really good time. And the weather here in the great Northwest, 77 degrees yesterday.
Ah,
I know. So
nice.
we're like, what is going on? So over to you. I can hardly wait for you to share what you've chosen to talk about. Last week, and I've been bragging about this, that we came up with the 15 best places to live on the planet. And if you didn't hear that show, you need to go back in and listen because Ramin did an amazing job on telling us where are the best places to retire. So that was really cool. Over to you. What are we going to talk about today?
Excellent. Yes, thank you. Before we go on, Thanksgiving is my favorite. It's just such a blessed day, and I love that. And also, it coincides. Yesterday it was a bank. Well, I mean, it was a federal holiday in the United States. Uh, Basically, it was Columbus Day, but now there is also debate that they're changing into. They call it Indigenous Day. So the schools are open, the stock market was open, but the banks closed, and a lot of government agencies were closed. So that is just coincides with what you just said, with the Indigenous Day. So we have it in the United States. So anyway, I thought this week, we've had subjects of money, we've had the subject of human behavior and biases. We talked about retiring internationally, which countries, and with the celebration of Diwali, which is coming on November 12th, which is the celebration of light in India. In Hinduism and Sikhism, it's a very, very important 5-day holiday. It's the light versus darkness. And with that, our Christmas coming, the Chinese New Year ahead. And basically after that, we have Persian New Year. So there's a lot of cultural things happening. And with that, I thought, well, let's review the culture and the money. And you've mentioned it, the money as a taboo. And we want to go back to the origin of some of the global traditions and superstitions
Mhm.
in when it comes to um, money. So I'm gonna do a little, as always, I like to do a little journey around the globe. So come up with some ideas as far as some of the traditions, and it won't be surprising to start with China, because China, because of the history, and because of the long time civilization. It has given us many innovations and cultural givings, and I thought we'll start with that. Is that good? Shall we start with
Mhm.
Tina? All right. So
Yeah,
let's.
absolutely.
So let me start. Actually, go a little different fandom, and in China, color red. We talk about color. Color red is auspicious. It's associated with life generating energy. It's a great color. You think about sun, you think about blood, you can think of fire. It's the color of celebration and prosperity.
Oh, wow.
You see a lot of relationship when it comes to prosperity and wealth with color red. So what happens is we think about, I mentioned about New Year, so lunar year, and I don't know if you had any Chinese friend, especially when they give you a little gift, and
Oh, yes.
so they
Yes.
have these red, beautiful envelopes, which is usually filled with coins or money. We have some close Chinese friends, or some, they have Chinese blood, and I know my kids always receive this beautiful envelope, whether it was for their birthday or it was like the Chinese New
Oh,
Year, and they're just gorgeous. So it's not about the money inside of it; it's the decoration of that envelope, and it's always red, and that's a good luck. So that's what it's a sign of prosperity. They give you for good luck. Nowadays, now with these digital currencies, they not only they prepare, they sometimes they put a code in there and then give it to you. But the main thing is having that red envelope. So that's color red. So um, I'm going to deviate from color red. We come back to that. Another thing in China is another tradition, or no, we could make it also superstition, is in China, you never keep your purses on the ground.
oh, wow.
You don't put your purses on the ground or handbags on the ground. There's an old saying that the purse on the floor is money out of the door. So first on the floor, money out the door. So that's also, of course, when you think about security, you don't want to leave, somebody can take it. So it's just common sense, but it is very much believed. So sometimes, with the stories that you hear, and I'm sure you can share some with us, the traditions from culture point of view, the in order to make the common sense, sometimes you come up with these traditions to make it a story. So people, again, this might have been because people could take your purse and other thing. So they make it, all right, listen, it's a bad luck. Don't put your purse on the purse. So it's a lot easier than saying, oh, somebody's going to steal it. So no,
Right, right.
that's you always want to keep it close to yourself. So um, talking about color red, as the zodiac signs, that they all in Chinese, we have the 12 symbols of different animals generally, and
Yes.
each one is a symbol of something. So it's interesting. I know in West, like I look at it, whenever it's like my year, I'm a bull. So when that happens, I feel this is great. Well, it looks like in China, they don't believe that your animal brings good luck. It's the opposite. So what you want to wear when you have your zodiac sign, you have to wear on that the new year, you have to wear a red underwear. So when you wear red underwear, that negates that bad luck and it brings good luck, maximum luck by
Oh
having
my
that
gosh.
underwear. So that's again, it's the color red that I've been speaking of. Another thing in China, and this is really interesting because it applies to me in my trading and also investing, is the numbers. There's a lot of I don't know if you follow numerology, and I
Hmm.
you do, and I know it. So there's a lot of connections. So in China, what we have, and again, it applies to me when I'm investing in bonds or gold, especially, is number eight is a good luck. Number eight, it's in Cantonese. It comes from bot, which sounds like fought. And what thought means, it means rich. Because it sounds like it, number eight is a good luck. On the other hand, and that brings you wealth. Um, on the other hand, when we think about the opposite is number four. And it happens, number four is actually in, or, a lot of other Asian countries, in Japanese and South Korean, for instance, or Korean, is is she and that means death. So number four is very close to pronunciation or the death. So number four is avoided. I mean, if you traveled again in China or Hong Kong. I know, like in the hotels, we didn't have the fourth floor. It's like we have number 13, in the West, or like I've been to some hotels in the United States. They don't have a 13th floor.
No,
They go
no,
from 12 to 14. In
right.
Hong Kong, when I was there, a couple of times, that they skip number 4, so you go from third floor to fifth floor. I want to translate that to my trading. So what we do, like for instance, the gold, you, if it ends at 4, let's say gold is $1,804 or 1840, that kind of jump. So what you see, there is a movement. Either it hits that and sells off, so there's that negative uh, connection with that. Or even we do bond markets, especially overnight. So as a trader, for instance, when I look at the numbers, I watch that number 4. So when it passes number 4, that's a good sign. That means this thing has broken this bad omen. So I
Cool.
get into the trade. So if it goes from 4 to 5, I do my bond trade. If gold goes to 18, again, 41, 42, if it hits 48 or 58, that's a good omen. So when we hit the eights, and those are good things. So I want to be in that trade. And it might sound like we're talking about superstition, but you know what? But there's traders, in Asian markets, they follow these things. They don't want to buy something when it's at 4 or ends at 4.
Oh,
So
wow.
it, and this comes from the knowledge, right, of our the experience. I mean, most people might not be familiar with this, but once you trade over and over, I used to wonder why we hit this and then we get rejected, why there's a sell-off. Then the more I thought about it, then I noticed, well, there's a reason for this, because especially again overnight when the Asian markets are open. So anyway, this is about number 4 and number 8
I
in the
have a story. I
yeah,
have a
please
story
share.
about number 8.
Okay.
Okay. So, just goes right along with what you're talking about. In 2005, I was invited to be part of this compilation book, Walking with the Wise Entrepreneur. So we've got all these lovely people underneath: Donald Trump, Chuck Norris, John Assaraf, Susie Orman, Dan Kennedy, Dr. Deepak Chopra. And I got to be in the book. So I was in Taiwan and I was training up facilitators there. And I took each person a copy of the book. Now, when I got the book, I was a little annoyed because I was at the back of the book, well, maybe 3/4 of the way. And I was on page 168. That was the beginning of my story. So I I went, okay, guess what my topic was? Leading us past our financial limits. I wrote that in 2005. So I took the books over and I went to present the books. And it's really interesting. I had a translator, but when I told a story from the heart, they didn't need a translator because the English is a second language. But Taiwanese was their number one language. But then if I was sharing something technical or mechanical, I had to use the translator. So I hand out the book. I'm all excited. Beautiful people. They're all in the mental health profession. And I said, I'm on page 168. And the room just went like silent. And I thought I had offended somebody or I said something out of turn. So I turned to Dr. Ken Hung, my translator, and I said, Ken, is everything okay? Oh, yes, he said, everything's okay. You bet. I said, what do you mean? Well, he said, in our culture, they're all excited and they're in awe because 168 means all the way to the money.
Yes.
All the way to the money. And they called me Loria. They just I don't know why, but Loria, we're gonna stick with you. 168 all the way to the money. So that just ties in with what you've just shared. So back over to you.
Oh, that's a great story. Yes. Well, I mean, again, it's, as a human being, we are not a machine. And that's why I'm just so excited. Like trading is fun because you kind of connect all the dots, and you see, well, there's a history, and we've talked about, and that's why we share here. Knowledge is not full power; it's a potential power. But just knowing these little things, especially if you're investing internationally, it's so important to understand the cultures. And one little thing can, let's say you're a business person that have a big, contract coming up. You can miss out. Has nothing to do with your product, has nothing to do with your services, your personnel, but these things are important, and that's why we have to pay attention, especially we are in a global world, I mean markets. So anyway,
Oh,
okay.
cool.
So I'm gonna travel from China, go to Japan, and give you a little story about Japan. And again, it's all about prosperity. So in Japan, what they do, they keep this origami frog in their wallets. So
Oh,
they
wow.
make this piece of paper and into origami. So, and it has to be frog. So why is that? So in the word frog in Japanese mean it's called is kairu. Kairu, it has a homonym, and a homonym means when the two words they sound or pronounce the same, but they have complete different meanings. So frog kairu has a homonym, and another word sounds like it means to return. So what happens is they believe they've had a origami frog, it means money will return. It's a good luck. And the frog, so they keep it in their wallet. It's a good fortune. And that the saying, for that money will return is okane ga kairu. So Cairo again, the sounds like to return, and the money will return. So that's in Japan. And again, these are the little things that happens. Now, moving to staying in Asia, I want to move to Korea. Now, in Korea, you better not to be nervous or impatient where you're sitting down, because shaking your legs will make you lose money. So
Oh,
people who shake, according to, again, it's a tradition in Korea, and it's that means that you're shaking out your fortunes and making you penniless. So make sure you do not, if you're in the presence of a opposite of, you could be on page 168, which is a great sign, but if I'm nervous and I'm shaking my legs, I better be careful. So that's the Korean tradition. And now the other thing is, you have noticed, and I love to hear, because I know you always wear beautiful, like earrings or emblems, and there's these in many cultures, there's lucky charms. People use uh, amulets and charms, so for protecting or bringing good fortune. So, for instance, and uh, in India and other Southeast Asians, if you've been, I've been, seen like in Indonesia and Thailand, elephant at the entrance to the door is a symbol of good fortune, good luck to business. It brings money. And in Japanese, for instance, they have these maneki called cats, and that's a lucky thing for businesses. So the animals, play an important role in bringing again prosperity and good fortune. So that's the reason you've seen elephants a lot in, especially again in Indian culture, and that's a symbol. So I don't know. Do you
well,
have any story about? I know you wear different things, and I know butterfly plays a big role for you, but
mhm,
anything?
yes. Yeah, no, but my house guest, Sylvia,
Mm.
she has a necklace with, it looks like an ivory white elephant on
Oh,
the pendant is an elephant. But that would be, of course, her many, many trips to Africa,
right.
which you'll probably get to. But yes, it was kind of fun to see her wearing that. But you're right, Lucky Charms, four-leaf clover. That's in the Western, four-leaf clover was you take if you
Yes.
find one, you
I
put it in a book. It was supposed to bring you good luck. So that was all
yes.
part of that. Yes. So where are you going to take us next?
We are gonna move to, well, this is something common in Russia, in Turkey and Japan. I mean, just think about completely different cultures, and they have one thing in common, and that is you don't whistle while you're at home, especially in the evening. So why is that? I mean,
What?
that sounds
What is that
silly,
about?
but so the Russians believe if you whistle at home, that means financial loss. That will cause
Oh,
financial
wow.
loss. The
Oh,
Turks in Turkey, they believe that when you're whistling, especially again at night, you're calling the devil. And the Japanese believe that snakes and robbers will visit your home because you're whistling in the evening. So again, it's all about again some of these superstitions have roots, some of them made up, but obviously things have happened, and the repetition of things have created this. And you're talking about the charms, and I know a lot of houses, especially like in the Middle East, you have the evil eye, right, to keep the devil away or bad luck. And a lot of children, when they are born, they give them in Turkey. It's the beautiful, I mean, works. And so I know we have this eye watching and keeping the evil eye out. Um, Talking about Turkey, so let's stay in Turkey. So they believe that if you sleep with a gold coin in your hand or something close to you, that's a good luck. You will be receiving lots of fortune.
oh,
So sometimes you don't have stash of golds, but sometimes it's good. They want to keep the kids young and dream about you know the financial prosperity, and that's a symbol of that. So again, if you were sleeping, that means it's going to multiply, and that's in Turkey. Um, on the other hand, in Greece, they want to make sure, and this old saying that always keep your pockets lined and your wallets, your purse never empty. Your wallet, your purse, your pockets, your bank account, because the financial misfortunes will follow later in life. So, as like for instance, if like you're giving I remember as a little kid, I used to have piggy bank, right? Well, it wasn't
mhm,
piggy, but
mhm.
it was so much fun. You put the money in, and I used to dig it to take some of the coins out. It was just so much fun with a knife. I would like take some money out.
Yeah, I've done that.
So, like in Turkey, in Greece, for instance, if you want to start something like that, make sure you don't give it empty piggy bank to your young children.
Right.
Put some coins in it so you never ever empty again your wallet, your bank account. Always make sure you have something in there. So that's
Well, yes, and that follows along with tradition here, at least
mm,
in Canada. I know, I don't know about the States, but if we give a gift, like a wallet or a purse as a gift, then we automatically include a coin in it, whether it's a dollar
mm,
coin called a
okay,
loonie or a $2 coin called a toonie. But every time you give a wallet or a purse as a present, then you always put that in there. That was always how we did that.
nice. Yes, that's that makes sense. I know, like in our tradition too, like if I take a dish, like a food for a friend, whatever is the reason, it could be pastry, it could be maybe they're in need, and what that dish when it goes there generally comes back with something in it.
Right.
So,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
so it's
We do that too. Mhm.
okay, good. All right, so let's move from Greece. Now I'm like moving this way. Let's go from Greece to Italy.
Oh,
So,
our favorite
uh,
country.
yes, one of our, and just think about this. We talked about favorite country, and it's about food. I love Italian food and
Yeah,
Greek
me
food. And as a matter of fact, I was talking to a good Greek friend of mine. We went for a walk on Friday. He was in Greece for 5 weeks. He just couldn't say enough about the food. It's like, oh, the
too.
food is like, and he's Greek. And it's like, oh, it's like, yeah, I know. So, So in Italy, they eat pork sausage and lentil dish on the New Year's Eve. And the reason for that is that, again, it's the sign of prosperity because it brings good fortune, but also the lentils, the color or shape of lentils, they symbolize money.
Oh,
So because they symbolize money, and then the pork, the reason for the pork, it represents abundance because it's rich in fat. So
oh,
they
wow.
mix that, so the sausage and again with the lentils. So that's what they have, and again with this tradition now makes sense. Well, why they eat that? You know, they
Mhm.
eat fettuccine with lentil cheese. So um, well, now here we go from Turkey, Greece, Italy. Now we're in France. So in France, it's superstition that if you put the bread on the table upside down, that means poverty and hunger.
Hmm.
So the reason for that is when we go back in the history, to go back to the Middle Ages, it was when the bakers would take the bread and put it upside down, that was for the executioner. So they would put it upside down for the executioner, which is, bad omen and other things. So that's why don't ever do that. So we always keep it up. So that's a little
Oh,
tidbit.
wow.
And I love French bread, by the way. Speaking of that, and their
Mhm.
pastry. So I'm going to do a little dive, and I'm going to go back to Central Europe and go to Czech Republic. So in Czech Republic, they carry fish scales in their wallets, and that is throughout the year. By the way, that's money because these fish scales, they're very similar to silver coins. So that's again a good luck. That will bring them prosperity in Czech Republic. So that's another tidbit. Now we're in Europe. So we're gonna move on. This is a multicultural thing, and that is having polka dots on your dresses, on your clothing.
Oh, I love polka dots.
That's a good sign for your wealth. Like for instance, in Philippines, the Filipino superstition, it advises you got to wear clothing with polka dots patterns because you become wealthier. Because those round shapes is it attracts wealth and good fortune because it's round. So that's in
Wow.
Filipino. And then you move, imagine from Philippines, we move to French, which they love their stripes, but wearing polka dots on New Year's Day, that's the sign of prosperity. So the French try to wear polka dots in New Year's to bring prosperity.
Wow.
Now in the US, I mean, I've had this tradition, oh God, for so many years, and I had close friends. The $2 bill. You mentioned
Yeah.
about Toonie. United States, as you know, um, we don't have many of them, although I have a good collection. So every year, so our New Year, which is the beginning of spring, I always went to the bank and I gathered the brand new $2. So I would give $2 for adults, just a symbol. So in the United States, it could some places they think it's bad luck, but most places carrying a $2 bill, because it's rare, it's scarce, it could bring good luck. And I know my kids have received from some very special friends. They used on their birthday they will receive a $2 or like a New Year or something. So that's a little bit. We are very young countries in the United States, so we don't have a lot of traditions here. It comes mostly from our ancestors and our other cultures. So, how are we doing so far? I mean,
I think we're doing great. I'm just thinking about another story that I could
yes,
share, and
please.
it came from it was in one of the films that I was in, and so the story goes it was in Russia, and this young couple wanted to get married, and so they didn't have any money, and there was a rich man that lived on the hill. So they went up to the rich man and they said, we're getting married and we don't have any money, and we were hoping maybe you could give us some money so we could buy some bread and some decorations and some wine. And so the rich man handed them a penny, and they threw the penny on the ground, and they said, well, that's not going to help us very much, because that won't even buy the bread. And so they turned around and they walked back down to the village, and they talked to the rabbi there who was going to marry them. And he said, well, let us go back up to the rich man and see what we can do. Because he is very generous, and I'm not sure why he just, he did that, but you throwing it on the ground didn't get you any points. So they go back up, and the rich man and the rabbi says, this young couple is getting married, and they're very poor, and we want to have a celebration, and we were wondering if you could help out. And so the rich man handed the rabbi a penny, and the rabbi said, thank you so much. This will really help. It will start the process of being able to have a wedding in the village. And the rich man said, oh, just a moment. Hi, I have a wine cellar. I can supply all the wine. And he said, thank you so much. That is so generous of you. And he said, yes, we'll do that. And then the rich man said, and by the way, I have staff cooks. They can cook the meal. And the rabbi said, thank you so much. And so before they walked back down the hill, the whole wedding had been taken care of.
Wow.
But the moral of the story is gratitude,
Yes.
being grateful for the little things, and then the big things will follow. But when they threw that penny on the ground, they cut it off. So that's my story about that.
Oh, that's a wonderful story, Dr. Laurie. And it really hits home, and how
Yeah.
sometimes we don't see beyond number one, but we're always looking at our short-term gratifications, and
Yes.
because of that, things get really magnified in some ways, in a bad
Mhm.
way, and a lot of times it's diminished a lot of things that we should be grateful. And that, yeah, appreciate that. That's a great
Yeah,
story.
and the person that was when I appeared in the movie called The Gratitude Experiment, and one of the other participants was Dr. John Gray, and he wrote the book,
Yeah.
Men Are from Mars, Women Are from Venus. And he was talking about relationships, and he told that story in the film. So I always have to give credit where I hear things. But yeah, that was a story that he shared, because he was talking about how in a relationship, we always need to be grateful for each other
Yeah.
and pull out the strengths in each other and not the weaknesses.
Excellent. Yeah. So
Yeah.
true. Awesome. Thank you. Um, so one thing has always puzzled me, is itchy palms. I don't know if you've
Oh,
heard about it.
yes. Yes.
So
Yes.
it's multicultural.
Hmm.
So in some cultures, it's, is it left hand? Is it right hand? Does it mean anything? And it and also it depends on the gender. It's again, it depends what culture you're coming from, because in some cultures, actually left hand is a hand of receiving. So when the left hand itches, that means that you will be getting money and prosperity. And but on the other hand, when we go to uh, Indian Hinduism culture, it's the opposite, and it is the hand that when the right hand itches is the hand of prosperity. Left hand is a loss of money. So it all depends on what culture you come from. But at the end of the day, well, the scientists have said, itchy hands could be because of skin condition, or environment, or it could be something happening internally. So
Hmm.
it's nothing to do with anything. So it it all depends. Sometimes I've had the experience, the left hand has itched and good things happen. Sometimes bad things happen. So I just thought to bring that because that is stayed with us. I mean, I know I've heard it from many of my friends and from different cultures. Oh, your left hand is itchy. Oh, be careful. Okay. And again, this comes from the origin of, again, with the Indian culture is the goddess Lakshmi, and
Hmm.
they have that he's the god of goddess of or the deity of wealth, fertility, and prosperity, and the left palm is means the departure of the goddess. So that's how this whole tradition started, and the right is the opposite. So anyway, I thought to share that with you because it is something that it happens a lot. So I want to share
Yeah,
that. And
and I have a
sometimes,
hand story too. I have a
yeah,
hand
go
story
ahead. I
too.
like that. So,
Well, it was just recently we had a speaker at one of our meetings, and her name is Barbara Berg. I'll give her a little plug right now. And she does teaches you how to wear your rings. And she said, when you wear your rings on the left hand, that builds an energy of receiving. So you already shared that. So if you want to, if today I want to receive, then I'm just going to wear my rings on my left hand. Um, if you wear your rings on your right hand, that's about giving out, reaching out, helping others.
wow,
So if you have a day where you feel you want to bless others, wear your rings on your right hand. But when you wear them on your left hand, it's about receiving. And maybe there's a connection there. I didn't think about this. When you have a wedding ring, we wear it where? On the left
yeah,
hand. Except I've shared this story before, and this came from Zig Ziglar. He said he was on an airplane and there was a man sitting next to him who had his wedding band on his right hand. And he asked the man, he said, I'm finding it a little strange that your wedding band is on the right finger, right hand. And he said, well, actually, that's because I married the wrong woman. So, so yeah, I think the hands and like you said, trinkets and jewelry. And so anyway, Barbara does this beautiful workshop on, how to best use your ring jewelry for giving and for receiving.
excellent. Yeah, here we go. That makes sense. Yes. Uh, I'm gonna finish our session with this. Going back to our culture, like Persian New Year
Okay.
happens, in usually 20th or 21st of March, which is the beginning of the spring. So we have this beautiful tradition that we have this setup, table set up, and it's very colorful. It's just beautiful, and generally has the seven things. In Persian, it starts with S, and each one has a symbol. There's a meaning of something. And again, in Persian, some people say it started with Zoroastrian, it started with sh, with she, and then it gradually moved to S. But regardless, it is a tradition that it has, again, the seven things that I just give you a couple of them. For instance, apple is the symbol of beauty, and then like garlic is a symbol of health and medicine, and like you have vinegar, it's a symbol of patience. So these each one has symbol, and nowadays they actually put a coin. It could be a gold or coin, silver coin, and that's a symbol of uh, again prosperity, wealth, material world. So that's part. And in some cultures, they put the mirror is a self-reflection. That doesn't start with S, but they use because the decoration goes beyond those seven S's nowadays, and it's just and then like uh, we have fish, of the goldfish, and then like they even put a clock, which is symbol of time. So all these cultures have this, but again, there's a the original idea was we have the three um, from divine, or we had three from out of this world, symbol of out of this three in this world, and one connector, and that's what the seven symbols come. And again, so we have also, in again in the Persian, um, also prosperity plays a role, and that's by the way, of eating food. We eat the symbolism is rice with greens, um, and fish, and each one again is a symbol of health and good good prosperity for the future, and abundance, and the new beginning. Green, um, again, winter is ending, spring is starting, it's a new life. So with that, with our finishing with my Nowruz, or the Persian New Year, that's was, I thought we go around the world just to visit all
Yes,
the
that was fun.
taboos and also traditions and superstition. And as I said, we can laugh at it, we can disregard it in some ways, but they affect everyday life, whether we like it or not. And understanding that it might help us in our business, or again in my trading, it has helped me. I've shared it with my
Hmm.
students. Pay attention to these little things,
Little
because
thing.
somebody else is paying attention. When you think about
Right,
China, 1.4 billion people are paying attention. So think about that. Hey, it's not just us; it's everyone
right.
else. So anyway,
Well, I was just thinking if someone had just tuned in while you were talking about the apple and the garlic and the vinegar and the fish, they might think this was a class in nutrition.
okay, sure. Yeah. Well, I
So,
tell you, it's
so if you're
survival.
if you just saw that part, you need to come back and visit the rest of it. Um,
True,
but
true.
we both know that there's a big connection, though, between let's bring that up because we've had conversations about this. The big connection between health and wealth, and let's talk about that for a few minutes. We have a few minutes left because a lot of people. Well, what I'm discovering is that we've been highly conditioned and programmed to live our life in silos. You know what I mean? Like a grain silo. Okay, so this is, and I'll tell you what did that was time management programs. This is your family time, this is your work time, this is your fun time. And it was all disconnected. Nobody realized that, oh my gosh, yeah, it is all connected. And health and wealth are just right up there. So do you have a couple of things you'd like to share around that? Because we're working on that all the time.
No, you're absolutely right. I mean, we've talked about it is so connected, and we talked about the old saying. I'll repeat it again, so please forgive me. In the sense that we accumulate all the wealth by losing our health to regain our health. So we make all that money, we get sick, like you said, we put in our, oh, here it is, I got to work
Yeah.
hard and make that all that money. In the meantime, we don't pay attention, and to our, we said before, not just physical health, our mental, our emotional, and spiritual health. So we sacrifice those, and then once we get to that wealth, we say, "Oh my God, what am I gonna do? I lost all the. Now physically, I cannot do things. Mentally, I'm all shattered. Family has fallen apart. All of those. So now I'm trying to buy them back. At the end, it's a lot lose-lose situation. So you're absolutely right. There's a complete direct connection, and they are very much interdependent. We need to really respect both. And when we talk about wealth, again, finances, physical time plays a big role, but it's just more than that. And you really touched on it many times. It's about your heart, that fulfillment. I mentioned, we talked about the purpose of money. Money allows you the security, the freedom of time to do the things that you want to do, and that's the purpose. So it's not about how much we have accumulated, is how we are using that accumulation and how satisfied we are with that. Unfortunately, that gets lost, and that's whether it's the materialistic world that we live in, or very much of single dimensional you just mentioned. But at the end of the day, it is the totality of things and balancing things out and enjoyment of life. We don't know what's going to happen next, a minute from now, or a year from now, or people who were not going to live for one more day, they're around for 30 years, and people who were supposed to be around for 30 years, they're gone. So we don't know. So we really, every day is precious. And I really liked your, again, the story about gratitude, and that starts from there. Once we have
Mhm.
that gratitude, I think that creates our health, which brings wealth, and vice versa. So
Yes. And again, it's all about being balanced. And we know lots of people who did spend years working really hard for retirement. And they were retired for 6 months and never even got to collect their money or their pensions or anything because of they didn't take care of certain things along the way. So we always have a saying, tomorrow is promised to no one. So we must take care of today, all aspects of our life, our health, our wealth, our emotions, our relationships, our decision making process. It's like that story I talk about, the person who wanted to buy a blender. And so this is your over researcher. They get on the internet and they look to find the best price and what's on sale, and they're all focused on the money as to whether or not they're and the color and this and that and blah blah blah. And 6 months later, they're sitting there without the blender. Somebody asked me if they could do some mentoring with me, like in 6 months from now, and I said, well, I wouldn't recommend it. And they said, why is that? I said, you want to be mentored by me, you better do it now. Right? Why are you waiting for 6 months to make that decision for yourself? And so I was really thrilled yesterday when I was being interviewed that my person that interviewed me said, oh, by the way, because of the half hour in your show, my husband and I, we need to take some workshops from you. What do you think would be best? They're not going to waste any time because they understand that concept, right? So don't waste time. People say time is money. Let's make a comment about that. Time is money. And they're the only two excuses people will give you for not doing something. I don't have the time and I can't afford it.
right.
How far are we going to get with that, Ramin?
Yeah, no, that is so true. That's the And as long as you have that belief system, that's what things don't get accomplished. And
Yeah.
it's amazing how we can make stories for us, and yet it could be something completely non-relevant, not urgent, not important to us, and yet we will do things right. Just do it. And in case of emergencies, you've noticed how the things prioritized. All of a sudden, I didn't have the time, I didn't have the money. Well, in the case of, I don't say life and death or health, immediately everything changes. So we have the capability, we have
Mhm,
the ability, we just don't have the priority. And our priority should be us, our well being. And usually
mhm.
that's because we think we are in control. Oh, I can do it later,
Right.
you know,
The procrastination.
for procrastination. And
Yeah. Well, Zig Ziglar shared a story with us one time. I had the privilege of meeting him in person a few times, and
me too,
so
yeah.
he came out on the stage and he started like this. He said, "Okay, the phone rings, and it's a travel agent, and they have said you have won a trip for two to the Bahamas, and you have 24 hours to be at the airport. How many of you are going to the Bahamas? Everything paid." No scam, no anything. And I suppose maybe half of the room put their hand up, put their hand up. I was one of them. I went, I'm going. So he looked at the people who didn't put their hand up and he said, why aren't you going? It's not going to cost you anything. And the hiccup was they only had 24 hours to get ready. So if you have to get ready, well, yeah, okay, you're going to have to find a babysitter, perhaps take the dog to the kennel, get some food in for the kids, or make arrangements to get to the airport, give some notice at work, take time off without pay. And he went through the whole list of what people would have to go through in the next 24 hours to get to the Bahamas. His point being that if you lived every day like that, get the kids, if you did that every single day, you could go to the Bahamas anytime you want.
Sure.
So that's what you're talking about are the priorities. Getting things done. Oh my gosh, you should see what our viewer put up about us. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Sylvia. Woo. Okay, whatever.
That's so
Oh
funny.
my. Well, that means I'm 47 and you're 26 or something like
Yeah.
that. So, whatever. reverse our ages, right? So yeah, it's all about priorities. It's all about what's important to us. And yesterday on the show it was a great interview. I'll send you the link. It was she asked me if I would give 3 tips on how to build self-worth. If you
Hmm.
gave, I said, well, I have over 1,000, but I'll give you 3. And one was make a list of what's no longer acceptable. So things like wasting time, not being my best version of myself, procrastinating, what's no longer acceptable, that nasty relationship, that, undisciplined child, that whatever it is, like what's no longer acceptable. And then that will help you to build your priority list. What do you need to focus on, right?
Yeah.
So just a plug for tonight at 7 o'clock, Ramin and I will be hosting our 100 series of 100 workshops in finance. And tonight, the program is called 100 Shades of Prosperity, and guests are welcome. So if anybody would like to be a guest and come and check us out, Ramin does one workshop, usually on Thursdays, and that's hard mechanical, technical, financial principles and how to build your wealth. And mine, we are calling it the soft skills. But that's not really accurate because some of the stuff I'm going to ask people to do might be harder than what you're asking them to do.
Hmm.
So we do our workshops on Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 7 o'clock. And we would love to have you as a guest anytime you'd like to show up. And we look forward to that tonight. So we're still taking registrations. We take registrations ongoing. And so if you want more information, just contact me and I can make that happen for you. So just email me at thelaurie.davis.show@gmail.com. All right, Ramin, over to you. The last words of encouragement around superstitions around money or doing some things that actually will attract wealth. I love that. Just a few words of encouragement. Back to you, and we're done.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, it is a quick hour, so I'm so pleased to be here. Yes, I mean, we try to be entertaining, but also hopefully educational. And it's the respect, right? I think it is important to understand that there's traditions, there are reason for that. We don't just have to just dismiss them because they're silly, or
Yes.
even if they sound silly, there's the roots of it. There is somebody paying attention. So, and if we can understand it, I'm not talking about trivia things, but things again in my own experiences has worked. Um, it is important to understand that. And again, it's also human nature, right? There's emotions, there's again the mentality of things, the culture. So we want to pay attention to those and respect those. So, but anyway, so just decided to do our global
I
uh,
love that when we globetrot.
biases and traveling and how money biases could be different. The money is a common theme. We all want to be happy. We want to be prosperous. We are looking for, as a human beings, over 8.2 billion around the world. Most of us, we look for the common ground, and unfortunately, few in power can affect the many that they want to live a, good life, and it is, it is possible for everyone, but
Absolutely, it
we
is.
can,
Absolutely.
we can.
When people are worried about scarcity and that there's not enough, try emptying the ocean with a teaspoon, right? Okay. Well, thank you so much, Ramin, for being here today on our special day, Tuesday. And you've been watching or listening the Dr. Laurie Davis Show. Tomorrow, my guest is the Pink Lady. And the Pink Lady, I spoke with her this morning. She's a friend of mine from California. She's a beautiful 91. And she says, and I'm interviewing her tomorrow, she says, it's not over until I say so. So you need to catch that show, The Pink Lady. She's going to be here tomorrow. Can't wait. Um, we've been streaming live on E360 TV. So if you've missed the show, you can go in and catch it later. Our YouTube channel, of course, Laurie Davis Show Host, and streaming live presently on Self-Worth the Missing Link Superstars Facebook page. So the only thing we ask is that you share the show. There might be one little tip today, even if it's where to wear your rings, that may benefit you. So please make sure you share the show with your friends and your family and your colleagues. We really appreciate that. So bye for now and
Thank
see
you.
everybody tomorrow.